And welcome back to part 3 of our beginner's model course. Here we're going to put our fuselage together. You have your forward fuselage, center fuselage, and empennage. Now you might notice while we're building models that a lot of these names are French. Well, yeah, after the Wright brothers started flying, America kind of dropped the ball on the flying thing, and the French did a lot of the research in that point in time, and they got to name a lot of the things. So they did. So what we're going to do here is we're going to build this fuselage. We're going to do our cowling first, and according to the instructions, we need F1 and F2. Now, when you see an extra number like that, that's usually right here in the corner. There's an F right there. Can't see it very good, but there's an F there. And then the numbers are 1 and 2 on those little tabs. Can you even see those? Okay, these little tabs right here is where your numbers are at. So we're going to take these two pieces of cowling, and then these two pieces of exhaust pipe. It says L, but we used our L for another project. So we're going to go with this one right here. If you have this particular model, they work the same. Now, we'll set that to the side. First thing we want to do, look at how we're going to have to clean this up. There we go. We'll run our finger along here. Yep, we need to do a little cleanup here. Now we're going to test fit. I know that both these parts are interchangeable. Okay, that fits very nicely. Okay, that's a good fit. So what we're going to do, we're going to take our palette with our dried up glue. And our toothpick. Load that toothpick up with lots of glue. And you want to get the glue in, especially going across here. In here. Up here. Get some down here. There we go. Now you want to make sure that those exhaust stacks are pointed backwards. This is the front. You can see on the instruction sheet. See, it has this little part right here is right there. So you want them to be pointing backwards. And then pop that right in place. Take a second and center it, or not. There we go. Now same thing with this one. Okay, this is what it looks like if you put them in backwards. Because see, on this particular model, you can. Now see where they're pointing forward towards the flat spot in the front? That's backwards. We don't want that. So try it again until you get it to where it'll finally go in place. Now as you notice, these little, I should have pointed this out on the other one, but there's these little bars going across here. There are 6 stacks in here. So every 2 stacks go between one of those little bars. And there we go. Fits in just like that. Just like the other one. We'll pop that out. Grab our glue. Give us some more. See, I'm not even squeezing that tube. There's no reason for your glue tube to look squeezed yet. And then we're going to go across and down, across here. Get some glue on there. Take our... Now, you know what you do if you get this backwards? Pop them out and put them in right. It's just that difficult. Now, for our next, now we've got these two pieces done. Now we're going to go to the fuselage. And that's this part. I'm going to cut it apart. Oh, Sammy's back. Hi, Sammy. We're going to cut these apart. We're going to cut our fuselage out. Okay, and before we go any further, before we cut anything else out, we're going to look these over. How does that... Okay, that needs just a little work there. Now, Sam, you're going to get your tail in the glue. Okay, I can feel just a little right there. Just a little right there. We're looking for any flash. Now, if you see plastic sticking off that doesn't look like it belongs there and can very easily be twisted off, that's called flash. What it is when they make the mold and the two pieces come together, a little bit of plastic oozes out in between. No big deal. Just take it off and keep on working. Okay, this is in pretty good shape. Kitty hair and all. So is this one. Okay, now our next one is going to be this one here, A4. Okay, this is tree A, number 4. This, folks, is a radiator. So we're going to check our radiator, make sure that we get it all nice and clean. There we go, set that to the side. And then we're going to have, and I know this from working with these things a lot, that this is a dreaded part number 42. It's on tree C, and it's part 42. That's what your propeller spins on. Now, I know on the F models, like this one is, because I've built them before, that piece usually doesn't work very well. So it's supposed to go in here like this, and then the fuselage other half comes in here like this. And that's supposed to turn, but it never does. And like I said, this is really basic stuff today, so we're not going to get into how to round that out. Short of this, take your knife and do just a little bit of digging in there. Then go to the other side, do just a little bit of digging. Make it just a little bit larger, just using our very basic tools and skill sets. The only other thing is we're going to take one of our fingernail files and thin it down a little bit. Same with this one. I'm going to thin that down just a little bit. I know my hands are getting in the way, but it's difficult not to. Okay, and that, there it is. Now this may allow our propeller to spin a little bit. Yep, okay. Problem with it now is, now it's a real delicate part. So I'm going to put that, can you see that, camera lady? I'm going to put that part 42, a little dinky thing, in our palette and put it over here to the side so that it doesn't get lost in the meantime. Now, we're going to build these. The cowling needs to go on next. Now, you can put the cowling on after you put the fuselage halves together, but it's a lot more difficult, especially since you got right here. You can just get into both of those. All right, Sam. Okay, so put your glue on the larger half, if you at all can. And then we're going to get glue all here and here. We're going to get some glue up here. We're going to get some glue down here. See these two little pegs that are on here, you can use those kind of like a hinge when you're putting your cowling on to get it in the right place without getting too many glue prints. Oops, we got a little glue. Okay. Remember, folks, we're beginners here. We're just getting started. We're just learning how to do this. We're not going to worry about a little extra glue. Now, someday when you guys are all master modelers that are watching this and you're building beautiful replica pieces, you can sit back and giggle at that old guy that got glue all over the place. And Sammy, his #1 helper. Same process. I'm gonna hold it by the, oh, Sam. Fell out. Same process. I'm gonna just drop it down on those 2 little pins and just set it into place. Oh, see that right there? That's called a glue print. And it won't be the last. Now for our radiator piece goes in here, and it kind of shows it going together at the same time. But that's not actually what's going to happen. There's that piece again. Okay, so let's get some glue on our toothpick and put it on the larger side if we can. Sometimes you just can't. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can do this with. Now, don't squeeze the tube. Just turn it upside down. And you'll have gobs of glue coming out of there. You don't need that much glue. You gotta have enough glue, but that's a lot of glue. However, under the circumstances, considering that we can't really get our toothpick in there, we're gonna be just as happy with it. And sometimes the parts stick to your finger. That's okay. Just put them back in, rub them around a little bit. There we go. All right, we're going to go now with the fuselage halves. How are we going to do these fuselage halves? And I'll tell you. There's a thing on here called index pins, or alignment pins, amongst other things. There's one there, there's one there, there's one back here. Okay, those line up with these little alignment holes. Can you see that hole right there, camera lady? Mm-hmm. You see that hole right there? All right, those are there so that you can get the 2 pieces of the model lined up properly. So what we want to do is we're going to do the back part first. Just in case we're a little bit out of a line. Now, we've put this thing together a couple times, but it's hard to tell. Now, check it out. I am not squeezing this tube of glue. I didn't squeeze it at all. I just turned it and let gravity do the rest of the work. The reason you want to do that front half, or the back half, is because that's a pretty solid piece of plastic. Up front here, you know, it gets a little thinner on the flight deck area. So pop them in. Now, see, look at there. I don't have them pins lined up right. There, now we do. Well, no we don't. There, now we do. Okay, got a couple glue prints. We're doing good. But see how the front doesn't want to cooperate yet? Front ends do that sometimes. So, matter of fact, if you look at that, this one's bent over, that one's straight. So we're going to give the rear of this airplane a chance to glue up for that glue to catch. And then when we put the front end together, that way it won't bend the back end apart if the back end has a chance to set up a little bit. Okay, it might want to try and pull it forward, and we don't want that just yet. So we're going to set fuselage aside. We're going to move to the wing. Now, this airplane model is designed with a lower wing in one piece and then 2 upper wing pieces. And as we go, we're going to learn what some of the parts of this wing are, because I like teaching things like that. So, oops. Poppity pop. Our very first done tree. That one get thrown away. Okay, so we're going to look at here. We're going to run our fingers down around the back side and up around the front side. Oh, okay, there's a boo-boo right there. Just take care of that. Just run your finger along it. Okay, that's where the other piece of sprue was. Right there. We're going to take care of that sprue. Out here, we're going to take care of that sprue. And there we go. Now we're going to look at this one. We're going to run our fingers down up right there, right off the bat. Okay, you can even see them. That one was visible. So is this one. But you want to check and see if there's any other things that feel wrong when you do this. Okay, we're going to do this. Do this. All right, and if you happen to bend it like that, that's okay. They bend. Now, when you're putting the wing together, on the bottom side, this piece right here is called a flap. And on this airplane, it was a split flap. Only the bottom half went down. This out here is called the aileron. Okay, this little dinky thing right here is called, an aileron control tab. Over here, this aileron has the anti-flutter tab, or flutter tab. All right, what's going on with this thing is ailerons work opposite each other. When this one goes down, this one goes up. Well, when you're in flight, they have a tendency to try and fight each other all the time. So what that little tab does is that tab puts pressure on the aileron. It's trying to push this one up and that one down all the time. And that keeps them from doing a flutter thing, and then they fly through the air, and then that's a real difficult condition to come out of sometimes, especially since it can rip your wing off if it gets bad enough. This is the gun bay, or the weapons bay. These are your discharge chutes. The big ones are for the 50 caliber shell casings, and these are for the links. This is a representative of 3 50 caliber machine guns. P-40s had 3 in each wing. These 4 little dots here, these 4 little dots are for a different airplane. But we're keeping it simple, so we're just going to ignore them. Now, these 3 little dots here, these 3 little dots were on P-40D through M, and they were for bomb shackles for 50-pound bombs. Pretty neat, huh? Now, next thing we're going to do is we're going to check our fit. Okay, and we've got additional. We have an additional set of index markers. Those little tabs and holes that I showed you before. We've got those in the wings here too, but we have additional ones. See these 3 little slots? They go right on top of the machine guns. Okay, and they go just like that. Ta-da! Now, something that we want to do, since we're here, and while we're at it, is we want to give ourselves a little clue on where to put the glue when we get there. So we're going to take just a little dab of black paint. Just a little dab. Reach in there after it if you have to. Okay, now we know that we go to here and to here. And that's all the further we have to put glue. Now, we're going to do this glue this way again. You can use the toothpick if you want. If you use toothpick, glue both sides. If not, just go like this right here. You want to avoid that little hole right there. That's for the P-dot tube. And we know to stop right there. Now we're going to take our 2 halves. We know about where they go together. See, I'm going to line up those machine guns. And there we go. Okay, I'm going to rub the glue off my fingers quick. And we know we're lined up because those 3 machine guns go together. And there. Now this is a good time to have a clamp of some kind or a rubber band. You don't need it. You can just sit here and hold this for a minute. The glue will set up. It won't cure, but it will set. It will grab. Now, like I said, we don't want those paint pieces there because that could interfere later on, so we just kind of rub them off. Of course, you could use a marker pen too, a Sharpie, a pencil, anything to give you that little mark where you want your glue to go. That you know you don't have to glue any further than that. See, otherwise else, we're in here and we got this. All right, you look at that, but then you take this off. How far down do you go with the glue? Not sure. All right, so while we're checking this out, we got a good fit. Yep, got a good fit. Put a little marker right there, a little marker right there. Ta-da! And there we go. Now, this takes practice when you're doing it, the glue this way. So don't expect that you're going to be able to do it right off the bat, especially if you squeeze the tube. Do not squeeze the tube. All you got to do is turn it upside down, and you will get plenty coming out. You know why? Because there's air pockets in there. There you go. Now see right here, I missed a little spot. No big deal. You don't have to glue everywhere. You don't have to get it right to the edge. Got a little too much here. That's okay. You just wipe it off. Or not. Okay, see, same thing. I'm just showing you from the other angle. This time I lined up the machine guns. And right there, you're together. Use your obvious spots. Okay, now, look here. See where it's trying to pull apart? Okay, we're going to have to hold that for another moment. In fact, what we're going to have to do with that, because we're going to go back to the fuselage now, and I can't do both of these, fuselage and that. Okay, camera lady, come right on over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to set something heavy on there. There. And that'll hold them down. That'll work as a clamp for now. So, let's get some more glue on the pallet, and we're going to glue up the front end of this airplane now. Now, remember, we got our radiator in there, okay? So we want our radiator to have glue on it too, so we'll do that first while we're thinking about it. Because as soon as we get glue all over everywhere else, that's a bad place to be sticking your thumb, because then you will get glue prints. Okay, like that. Now remember our handy dandy spinner that we worked with a minute ago? Don't get glue too close to that. Keep the glue kind of back away a ways. That's plenty of glue, and that's plenty close. And I'm going to give ourselves just a dab more glue. Just a dab. Oh, Sammy. He likes to hop back and forth. All right, now, our dreaded part 42. See, this is why we didn't want to get glue any closer than that, because part 42 goes right in there. And if you get glue any closer, then your propeller won't move. Uh-oh, glue prints. Wipe. Wipe. All right, so for your first model, we are doing excellent. Glue prints and all. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? That is just gorgeous. Yours is going to be just as beautiful, no matter what kind of model it is. And so before we get done, in the comments, you tell me what kind of model you want to see me do next. A beginner model. Okay, let's check this trailing edge. Okay, now on wings, now that we know what ailerons, flaps, this is the upper ammunition tray right here. This is for the solenoids that fire the guns, those little holes. Different manufacturers have different details on their models for copyright purposes. No one can copyright a P40, but the way they have their model and the detail on their model, they can copyright. So all models are just a little bit different. Even landing gear. That's why most landing gear don't fit, but I'll explain landing gear when we get to it. But those are always wrong or out of scale. Okay, this keeps wanting to pull apart on this side, so we're going to have to give that a little extra attention. So, that's it. That's what we were going to get done here in part 2. We've got our forward fuselage together. We got our wing together, and now we're going to, we got this one last little piece to squeeze up. Look at all that glue print. Don't worry about it. It's your first model. All right. Now, this is our last step after the fuselage is together, right here. We're going to put the flight deck or cockpit assembly into the fuselage. Now, this is an important piece because when it goes in here, it has to go between these. It has to go between these marks, here and here, and here, down in there, to push the fuselage apart so it fits in the wing properly. Then the back of the pilot's shield has to go all the way up in here, and the instrument panel, you have to get this piece around the cover, the glare shield. So, we're going to dry fit this first. Check all our glue points. It's got to go kind of forward and up for that silly gun sight piece. And that's why I leave it out, because it's just a pain in the neck sometimes. And there. And there we have it. It's in. In fact, that's in pretty nicely looking in right there. Okay, we got to push that dash glare shield forward. Let's see now that this gun sight piece isn't letting it go where it's supposed to go. So we need to push that gun sight piece back just a wee bit. And if it does it again, we'll just take it out and leave it that way. So now we got our glue points. We're going to look all the way up here. Make sure we're good and clean. Make sure we're good and clean. Okay. Now, we're going to do the glue on the toothpick for this one because we don't want to get glue everywhere. Just a little wear. Load her up. And when we looked, there, you're not going to touch, it didn't touch in here much. It touched on the top up here and down here, but not here on these sides. It does, however, touch on the top of the instrument panel. And it's going to touch all across this bottom down here. But we're going to get glue on our fingers if we don't do this carefully. So we're going to get some glue here and there. We're going to get some glue here along the sides. And then we're going to hold it this way, front to back. And we're going to push it right up in there. And then we're going to work on our instrument. On a toothpick again, I'm going to go in here in the front and push that instrument panel forward so it goes in there. There, and it's up. And then push the back side of it up. Now, let's check our 4 little spots down here. Now, here's something I watch the young kids do all the time. And I don't understand it, but they'll come in here, and now they'll say, oh, well, I need more glue. I need more glue, and they put glue here. Glue doesn't do any good there. It's just on top. All right, some of it might get down in between the crack, but most of it, not going to do you much good. But there we go, folks. It's all the way in. we're on a hard bank, though. There we go. All right, that's our fuselage. That's part 3. Are we on part 3? Yeah. Yeah, this was part 3. So there we go. We have our wings and our fuselage, and we'll see you back in part 4 when we're going to put all these together and maybe do some touch-up painting, some catch-up painting. And we'll talk about what makes this a P40F on the next one.